Blizzard, let's chat!
What's up guys, Krohun here, bringing you episode number 5, I believe we're on, of Blizzard Let's Chat, where we do PvP discussion and I take questions from you guys and I answer them. Okay, on today's discussion topic is kind of a bit different to what I would normally do, and that's because it's more of a general topic, and basically the post goes a little bit like this. 5.0 Fire, 5.1 Arcane, 5.2 Frost. I feel that when I am comfortable with one spec, I have to change every patch since MOP release. And this is the reply that Blizzard gave, which is, my advice overall is to play what you enjoy and not swap constantly based on what some website says. And I think this is mainly aimed at PvE, but just if you look at it in general, right, basically what the guy's saying is like, oh, it looks more competitive to go to a different spec because a website told me. And obviously this would mean what? You know, the website told you, right? But if you're really good at Fire and you're a mediocre Arcane, you'd probably pull more DPS because you're playing Fire than if you played Arcane and you do less. And this sort of goes the same in PvP as well, and that's the thing that annoys me the most, right? You get a lot of people that'll be like, they're playing a class that's pretty good at this moment, so they're, you know, and then they'll nerf that class and they'll be like, ah, well, you know, instead of staying on that class that I'm good at, or, you know, let's say mediocre, and then next season I would get good at, and then the one after that I'd be very good, and then the one after that I'd be getting to the high ratings that, you know, really high competitive 2400 plus rating. Instead they'll be like, you know what, I'm just going to re-roll to X class because they're good right now. And they might be good at them, they might be good at that class, but it tends to mean that they'll have to, let's say they've already got that class, they have to relearn everything, or they've got to start from scratch and learn everything from the beginning of how to use that class. And it kind of wrecks their play of that class. And people do it a hell of a lot in PvP and in PvE. And I think what Blizzard tries to say here is something that realistically they should have been harsher on. They should have said, look, don't have to listen to everyone, what everyone says. If you play what you play best, if the thing tells you it's best to play Fire, and you want to be the best mage you can ever be, then you go Fire. But if you're going to moan about it, you clearly don't care that much, and you should play whatever you want. If you are having troubles getting used to something, then realistically, just stay with what you are good at, and then you'll be fine. And if you get kicked out of your guild because you're not doing enough DPS, then you probably need to practice at that spec, and you could probably pull more. Because I bet you, if you look between, in comparison of what you do as a DPS meter amount and what the highest people in the world do, you'll see there's a big difference, and that big difference actually means a lot, a hell of a lot in PvP, a hell of a lot in PvE and everything. You know, just the differences of how fast people react and everything like that is massive. So if you just practice a lot at that one thing, you'll probably be as good as somebody who re-rolled, but then the next season after that you will be doing even better. And if your class gets buffed, then you'll be doing even more better. It's just to be like a massive amount, it'll be like well ahead. So my advice to you in just everything, every single case like this, just always just stick with what you like, right? Don't go with what's good right now or what's bad right now. Stick with what you like and what you enjoy. If you like DKs and they're doing shit right now, you know, stay with DK. Don't switch to something else. It's not going to do you any good. You might like something else better, yes, agreed, but then at the same time you should just, you know, that would mean to just level all characters to the highest max rank. Find out which one you like the most. Stay with that class though, but then you'll be more tempted to switch to something else. So if you like something, stay with that. Yeah, there might be a potential for you to like something else more, but then I'd say stick with the thing that you like because you know you like that, and then you're risking something else new that you might hate, so it'd be a waste of time. Okay, on to the question and answer period of the video, where I'm going to give you a discussion topic that came in through Twitter, and it's from a guy called Adam Felsteed, and he says, why do people see Warcraft as a nerdy game? It's fantastic. And I actually sat out for a while and thought about this when I got the question come through. And realistically, when you look at it on the fundamental level, it's just what's associated with what. You know, if you associate, you know, going to the gym with rugby players, then, you know, those two are linked pretty heavily, or American football if you want to call it, you know, look at it like that. So it's like, you could just link those together, right? And you get all these things that you can link off, and they just bounce around. You just work out like a pattern, and anything that's got elves in it, or goblins or orcs or anything like that, you know, fantasy-related things, gets chucked in the nerdy category straight away. Same as sci-fi and science and stuff like that. It gets chucked in the nerdy category. So it's always going to be there, but then stuff that is nerdy has broken away from being so nerdy. You think of stuff like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or whatever. It's a nerdy thing, but it's like also everyone enjoys them, or most people enjoy them at least. And then you get to more of a fundamental level of it's like there's an acceptable amount of nerdy. And then World of Warcraft is probably one of the biggest nerdy game. Actually, I'd probably say it's probably the biggest nerdy game that you can have. Like, you have the unnerdy games, or seen as unnerdy games, which would be stuff like Call of Duty and Battlefield 3 and Need for Speed and FIFA. But those games aren't, they're like segregated into one area, kind of, if you want to look at that, where they're aimed at a certain type of people, which tend to be sort of, if for a lack of better words, like jocks or chavs, or, you know, people that like fast cars and stuff like that. You know, everyone enjoys fast cars in a sense, but like they're just obsessed with them. You know, they're the sort of people that put as their Facebook picture a picture of a car or whatever, or, you know, like they spend a lot of time down the pub watching the football. Those people or whatever, you know, you can be both, but then it tends to mix in a weird way. But you tend to have those section of people will play those sort of games, and the other section of people will play with other sort of games. But they're, you know, Warcraft is labeled as that. But I guess this breaks onto a bigger topic for me, which is like a lot of people will, you know, I guess this isn't really related to his original question, but a lot of people will look at a video game, and it doesn't matter what the video game is. If you play it quite a lot, they'll put it in a category where it's like, that's bad for you, or you shouldn't be doing that, or whatever. But a lot of the time that comes down to the idea that you have a lot of friends in the game, and if I was to say to you, it's like, you know, going to the pub is bad for you, it actually is. You're going and poisoning yourself. But then the difference between, you know, going to the pub and then playing video games is you're playing a video game, and what it breaks down to is you're actually spending time with your friends. Yeah, you might not be seeing them, right? But then you are spending time with them because you're spending time with their character or whatever. And obviously that relates over, you know, it's not being antisocial to sit at the computer if you're sitting at the computer with friends online. It's antisocial if you're not, you know. I think after a while it does become antisocial in a way because you are avoiding everyone in real life. But then at the same time, it's like real life is just a different way of looking at the world. Like, if you was to say like, oh, if you was a character in World of Warcraft and there was a computer in there and you could go outside in the world in that, so like, World of Warcraft is actually a thing, and there's a computer inside that takes you to a game called real life. You know, would people say it's, you know, wrong to do that? I don't think they would. So when you switch it back over, I think it's fine, because it's like the potential of that sort of thing. As long as you are communicating with other human beings, then it's not antisocial, and you have to look at things like that, I guess. And I'm going to leave the video here. If you liked it, feel free to comment and, you know, just let me know what you thought. I'm not sure if I like this discussion topic today, but then at the same time, I also think it's kind of one of those warranted ones. Also the same with the question thing. It wasn't like a normal one. I don't feel like this has been a normal Blizz Let's Chat, but I feel like they're both sort of things that you know, it made me think of those things, and I thought I would talk to you about them. So if you just feel free to like the video and let me know what you thought of the topics, and I will see you again soon. Also, don't forget, if you want to send in any mail to be a part of the question answer part of the video, send it to krohunmail@gmail.com. That's krohunmail@gmail.com. You can also feel free to send me a message on Twitter. That's @nightleaf, and you can also just leave a comment in the comment section, or you can mail me if you don't want it. You can just say you want it to be anonymous if you don't want everyone to know who you are, and that's fine. And I will see you again soon. Goodbye!